Good morning. Good morning. This is Jameson here in Cleveland, Ohio. We'll be going over the Rich Dad's cash flow quadrant. And by the way, just send out your last minute text, your last minute emails. Let everybody know that this is where we're going to get our financial education this morning. It's time to get our financial hats on and learn about finances in a way that we are never taught at school, never taught anywhere else. And there was no motivation to teach us because they kept on making money that we were losing. Anyway, I'm just curious, are there any other readers out there that might be joining me today, or am I the sole reader today?
Mr. Jameson Rowe, great morning. Happy Saturday. It looks like we're going to have you as our main reader, but anybody can participate when you pause. You can kind of collaborate with what we're all going to learn this morning. By the way, this is Fernando Ramirez for everyone. Happy Saturday. So thanks again, Mr. Jameson Rowe, for being our reader. And I got my notepad, my pen ready to take some notes. Appreciate you all. Thanks, Jameson.
Yes, and I wanted to highlight a couple of things. Thank you, Fernando. Hey, you set it all this up, and you're teaching one of the main persons that help really help my financial education and also my business sense because the key thing is business is exactly what we're here for. So we need to understand how business works, how fundamental business works, and how to use it in the marketplace because that's how we create value. That's money is value, and I'll talk about that a little later on, and how important generating business capital is actually creating money, which creates it. You can create it out of thin air by properly understanding finances, and this is what we're doing today. So I wanted to highlight the very back of the book really quick and again, it says here, Rich Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant reveals how some people, let me pull this over so I can have it centered in my face. Come on. Oh, just a moment. Centered. There it is. Rich Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant reveals how some people work less, earn more, pay less in taxes, and learn to become financially free, which is the dream of most people. They just don't have a vehicle to do that. Have you ever asked yourself, why do some investors make money with little risk while most other investors just break even? Why do most employees go from job to job while others quit their jobs and go on to build business empires, excuse me. What does the shift from the industrial age to the information age mean to me and my family? The cash flow quadrant was written for you if you all are ready to move beyond job security and begin to find your own world of financial freedom, make significant changes in your life, take control of your financial future. The main reason people struggle financially is because they have spent years in school but learn nothing about money. The result is that people learn to work for money but never learn to have money to work for them. Robert Kiyosaki has challenged and is changed, excuse me. Robert Kiyosaki has challenged and changed the way tens of thousands of millions of people around the world think about money, with perspectives that often contradict the conventional wisdom. Robert has earned a reputation for straight talk, irreverence, and courage, and he is regarded with worldwide as a passionate advocate for financial education. Excuse me, my camera's right in the middle of that text. Okay, we're starting on chapter 8. This is part 2, bringing out the best in you. Let me move it back to 146 on the PDF here. Okay, oops, too far. 146. Hope everyone's having a great morning. We're coming into fall now, and it's an amazing time, 65 of year. We are here's part 2, the bringing out the best in you, and we're coming down to where we're at, 65. All right, chapter 8. How do I get rich? Well, that's an important question. A lot of people think it's like winning the lottery, isn't it? Well, that's not how Rich Dad taught Robert Kiyosaki how to do it. If you do it, okay, if you do what everyone else does, you'll wind up having what everyone else has. If you just play follow the leader, you're going to be the average of the five closest people to you. And that's exactly what he's saying in that statement. When I'm asked, where did you learn your formula for getting rich? I reply, playing Monopoly as a kid. Playing a game? Some people think I'm kidding and wait for the punchline. But it is no joke. The formula for getting rich in Monopoly is simple, and it works in real life as well as in the game. Four greenhouses, one red hotel. Mhm. You may recall that the secret to wealth when playing Monopoly is simply to buy four greenhouses and then trade up for a large red hotel. That is all it takes. Kim and I took that same investment formula, applied it to real life, and grew wealthy and financially free. When the real estate market was really bad, we bought as many small houses as we could with the limited money that we had. When the market improved, we traded the four greenhouses and bought a large red hotel. Whenever we never have to work again because the cash flow from our large red hotel apartment houses and mini storage units pays for our lifestyle. It work it works for hamburgers also. Or if you don't like real estate, all you have to do is make hamburgers, build a business around that hamburger and franchise it. McDonald's, Wendy's, etc. Within a few years, the increasing cash flow will provide you with more money than you can spend. In reality, that is how simple the path to extraordinary wealth is. In other words, in this high tech world, the principles of great wealth remain simple and low tech. I would say that it's merely common sense. But too often, when it comes to the subject of money, common sense is uncommon. For example, it makes no sense to me to give people a tax break to lose money and spend their lives in debt, or to call your home an asset when it is really a liability that drains cash from you every day, or to have a national government that spends more money than it collects in taxes, or to send a child to school to study so they can get a job, but not to teach that child anything about money. Oh, but they teach them about consumerism. They teach them how to write a check. They teach them how to use a credit card. They teach them how to purchase and be a great consumer, but they don't teach them the concepts of money and how to use it and effectively. It is easy to do what the rich people do. Doing what the rich people do is easy. One of the reasons there are so many wealthy people who didn't do well in school is because that to do part of becoming wealthy is simple. You don't have to go to school to become rich. The to do part of becoming rich is definitely not rocket science. I think there's some classic examples, and one of them comes to mind is Bill Gates. He did his I think he dropped out of his freshman year of college and realized, well, I'm already making money, so I don't need to learn how to make money because I'm learning from mentors and masters and people that are guiding me, and I'm getting all the education I need, like the street sense and common sense and business sense on the job. There is a classic book I recommend that you read, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, a great classic book, timeless classic. And those principles will, I think it was written in the 30s, 40s, something like that. And it's a classic. And just like you were saying, it's common sense to gain rich, and the principles can go back thousands of years. The same principles followed today are the same principles and the simple principles that can be followed in our modern world, even though we have all this technology. I'll read that again. There is a good reason why it's titled. Okay, oh, I went back up. There's a classic book I recommend you read, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read this book as a youngster and it greatly influenced the direction of my life. There is a good reason why it is titled Think and Grow Rich and not Work Hard and Grow Rich or Get a Job and Grow Rich. The fact is that people who work the hardest do not wind up rich, but yet that's exactly what we've been taught to do. Work hard, get a good job, go to school, all that stuff. And that's how you'll get rich. That's not, and that was kind of like the American dream, but it's like, and get the house too, but that's not always the case. If you want to be rich, you need to think independently rather than go along with the crowd. In my opinion, one great asset of the rich is that they think differently than everyone else. What do you mean, Robert? If you do what everyone else does, you'll wind up having what everyone else has. And for the most people, what they have is years of hard work, unfair taxes, and a lifetime of debt. Basically, the financial trap. Work hard, make someone else rich, and live on Social Security at the end of your time, and whatever little that you can save when you're paying 2/3 of your money out to the big business and taxes. When someone asks me, what do I have to do to move from the left side of the cash flow quadrant to the right side of the cash flow quadrant? If you're joining us for the first time, let's see, page 167. Let me find a quick example of the cash flow quadrant. There she blows. Go back. So on the left side, we have E, which is employee, S is self-employed. On the right side, we have B as business owner and I as investor. So page 167. Hmm. Years ago, I took a, okay, when someone asked me, what do I have to do to move from the left side of the cash flow quadrant to the right side of the cash flow quadrant? My response is, it's not what you have to do that needs to change. It's first how you think that needs to change. In other words, it's who you have to be, be in order to do what needs to be done. Now, that's an interesting question. What are you talking about, Robert? Do you want to be the kind of person who thinks buying four greenhouses and turning them into four red hotels is easy? Or in, yeah. Or do you want to be the kind of person who thinks buying four greenhouses and turning them into four one one red hotel is hard? Years ago, typo, I took a class on goal setting. It was the mid 1970s, and I really could not believe I was spending $150 on and a beautiful Saturday, here in Cleveland, it's beautiful, and Sunday to learn how to get set goals. I would rather have gone surfing instead. He's a great surfer, accomplished surfer too. Instead, I was paying someone to teach me how to set goals. I nearly backed out several times, but what I learned from that class has helped me achieve what I want in life. The instructor put up on the board these three words: be, do, and have. And I have a little thing I say, and I'll cover that a little later. She explained goals are the have part of these three words. So goals are have. That's the end products. This is it's laid up exactly the way that you stack them. Be, then do, then have. Have is a result. Goals such as to have a nice body or to have the perfect relationship or to have millions of dollars. Once most people figure out their goal and what they want to have, they begin listing what they have to do in order to achieve the goal. That is why most people have to-do lists. They set their goal and they begin doing. Using the goal of a perfect body, the instructor talked about the approach most people take. What most people do, the word do, when they want a perfect body is to go on a diet. That's the action. Then they go to the gym, another action. This lasts for a few weeks, and then most are back to their old diet of French fries and pizza. Ah, the pleasures, the comforts of life. Instead of going to the gym, they watch baseball on TV. This as an example of doing instead of being, doing something instead of being the one who has the result. It is not the diet that counts. It's you, excuse me, it's who you have to be to follow the diet that counts. Yet every year, millions of people seek the perfect diet in order to become thin. They focus on what they have to do rather than who they have to be. A diet won't help you if your thoughts don't change. Hmm. She used golf as another example. Many people buy a new set of golf clubs hoping that they can improve their game instead of first adopting the attitude, the mindset, and the beliefs of a good golfer. A lousy golfer with a new set of clubs is still a lousy golfer. Interesting. The operator is more important than the actual tool. Then she discussed investments. Many people think that buying stocks that do part or mutual funds will make them rich. But simply buying stocks, mutual funds, real estate, and bonds won't make you rich. Just doing what a professional investor do does not guarantee financial success. A person who has a loser mentality will always lose no matter what stock, bonds, real estate, or mutual fund they buy. A common goal people have is to find the perfect romantic partner. But according to the instructor, most people go about it all wrong. So many people look everywhere for the perfect person, the person of their dreams. They look for the right person instead of working to become the right person. And when they finally find this perfect person, quotes, air quotes, they then try to change them. Oh, hmm. In other words, maybe they didn't quite match their vision of perfection that they've been indoctrinated into, that whatever that perfect person was, and they try to mold them from where they are into what their vision of perfection is. The instructor suggests that the answer lies within. Ooh, within whom? To improve your marriage, you don't need to change your partner. It is better to change yourself first. Don't work on the other person, work on your thoughts about that person. That's the think and grow rich again. As she talked about relationships, my mind drifted to the many people I've met over the years who were out to change the world, but weren't getting anywhere. They wanted to change everyone else. They wanted to change the world. But forget about changing me. I'm not the problem. The world's the problem. I snapped out of my daydream when she started talking about money. Ooh, money. Robert's mind comes back to money because that's what he loves. He loves the game of money. When it comes to money, many people try to do what the rich do and to have what the rich have. Hmm. They're going about the formula backwards. So they buy a house that looks rich. They do the have, or the, yeah, they do the have. a car that looks rich, and send their kids to the schools where the rich send their kids. That's actually the do. All this does is force these people to work even harder, which is not what the truly rich do. Interesting. I was nodding my head in agreement with the back of the room. My rich dad did not use those same words, but he often said, people think that working hard for money and then buying things that make them look rich will make them rich. In most cases, it doesn't. It only makes them more tired. They call it keeping up with the Joneses. And if you notice, the Joneses are exhausted. During that week in class, much of what my rich dad told me began to make more sense. For years, he lived modestly instead of working hard to pay bills. He worked hard to acquire assets. You ever heard of a guy named Warren Buffett that drives an old pickup truck and lives in an old two-bedroom house? Hmm. If you saw him on the street, he looked like everyone else. He drove a pickup truck, not an expensive car. Then one day, when he was in his late 30s, he emerged as a financial powerhouse. People took notice when he suddenly bought one of the prime real pieces of real estate in Hawaii. It was only after his name hit the paper that people realized that this quiet, unpretentious man owned many other businesses and lots of prime real estate. And what and that when he spoke, that's when he spoke. His and that when he spoke, come. And that when he spoke, his bankers listened. You ever hear that commercial? When E.F. Hutton speaks, everyone listens. Well, Rich Dad showed he showed them the money. He showed him his financial intelligence, and everybody all of a sudden, like, wow, let's listen to him. Few people ever saw the modest house that he lived in after he was flush with cash and cash flow from his assets. He bought a new large house for his family. He didn't take out a loan, he paid cash. After that week in class on goal setting, I realized that many people try doing what they thought the rich did and tried having what the rich had. They would buy big houses and invest in the stock market because that is what they thought the rich did. That's what they could see. They did what they see with their eyes and they think that makes them rich. Yet what my rich dad was trying to tell me was that if they still had the thoughts, beliefs, and ideas of a poor or middle class person and that and did what the rich did, they would still wind up having what the poor and middle class have. Be, do, have began to make sense. Let me see. Let me run down this. I'll go ahead and make a stop really quick. Um, just to see who's out there, if anybody wants to make a comment so far, and then I will carry on from there. So let's go ahead and open it up to see if anyone's out there that would like to make a comment and say good morning. All right, make sure my speakers are on.
Jameson, great morning to you, my friend. Great read. I'm going to comment on some of the notes that I'm taking here in regards to what you started with early today in our reading. If you do what everyone else is doing, you'll you'll end up getting the same results as everyone else is getting. So now that you're talking about be, do, and have, I think that most of us don't know how to be when it comes to a business mindset. So we have to reprogram and we have to retrain ourselves to become a mindset of success and prosperity. And the way that I see this working out is you have to do the voluntary activities to get educated first, which is what Robert Kiyosaki talked about and alluded to. So investing $150 to go on an event and learn from others, right? Which is establishing the right kind of mindset. So you need to establish the right kind of mindset, which is B, to eventually figure things out and you can start doing, which is the process. And once you implement the process, when your mindset is right, instead of thinking you have to work hard for money, you're going to start thinking about what do I need to do or figure out to have money work for me. So when you start to figure things out and you start to do things different, it's not how hard you work, it's how smart you're working. And lastly, by consistent effort of the process, you'll eventually start to mold and to have the results that you want to accomplish and having. So what I think about is money is a result of create it's energy, right? So I think you'll never make a lot of money if you try to do things yourself. You got to learn to have a team of experts, team partners that think alike, where you can start seeing how much of an audience you can move for your net worth to start to set in stone, right? So this way, if you have creative minds, like what we're doing here Saturday, is putting our ideas together to figure out the formula for success. And we have an incredible platform that allows us to start from the bottom, from zero all the way out to the compensation plan and everything else it gives us. So the mindset being to me is extremely important. And that's why I love seeing our Saturday readers here, because obviously they're working on being that type of a success mindset. So thank you so much, Jameson.
Fernando, thank you very much. You definitely lead the pack as far as having 30 years experience in this bit in a business, in different businesses, and you had your own. You worked as an employee at first. You said, "Well, wait a minute, isn't there a better way to do and be and to have?" So you had to change who you were being, your mind, not necessarily in that moment, but the role that you were playing in order to do the activities of that mindset to have the results that have paid you for this 30 years and have came along the way and helped many people to convert their mindset and help them. And this is one of the examples of having this reading club to be able to help feed our minds so we can even perceive or see that there's something different out there. See that there's a way to achieve your dreams through taking the right actions or the doing. And
Well,
mind,
right, Jameson, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but you know what? As you alluded to earlier, I think I heard that, and I always hear it. The five people closest to you
hmm
make you or break you. So when you have the mentality for success and prosperity, you're no longer affected by who says yes and who says no. You're just working the process to find out and see if you wanna work with that person. Instead of you having a big someone to work with you, you want to see if they have the mentality. And since we have the platform, you test their mentality and their endurance through the process to becoming who they really desire to become. And if they show up, guess what? They're one of those candidates. Show up on a consistent basis like you did behind the scenes. You were just commenting on the chat. You were just having, you were preparing yourself for the moment to now being one of our readers. And I love surrounding myself with people like you, okay? Because you came out of your shell. You said, hey, right? You asked me to do something, I'll do it. I mean, maybe you questioned it the first time, but you were like, but this is my time for me to step in the game to become one of those leaders that now can influence others, and you are doing that. So we heard a great testimonial this past week from someone who's actually been very inspired for that transformation that you made. So, and you, as a matter of fact, inspire me. So thank you so much once again, Jameson. You're awesome.
Yes, thank you, Fernando. And it was an honor to be able to read this because I've listened to this book, I've read this book, his Cashflow Quadrant. Robert Kiyosaki is a prolific author and has built a company around financial education, as you see in the back. And he loves to share the insights that his rich dad gave him because it's he sees people out there hurting and he wants to help people to just figure out the way. And he spent and invested his time on learning about goal setting, and that was probably definitely a nudge by his rich dad, like, come on, let's go. And it's amazing. Anyone else out there?
By the way, the microphones are open and cameras as well. So anybody that wants to raise their hand, you can easily just open your camera, open your microphone.
Okay.
It looks like they're taking notes.
One of the little things I'll stop for a second and add. There is this gentleman, Dr. Joe Dispenza, but anyway, he talks about how people are so interested in moving the material things, like with a hammer and putting the nail in, or moving material, and that's like getting a job and working hard. And a lot of times there's more leverage in the mindset change. There's more leverage in learning how to use a better tool, which is money, and learning to use the leverage of your mind so that the energy, because you only have so much energy in a day, and you only have so much time in a day, and to be able to help to leverage that time and energy and attention into a more valuable mindset. And then my little thing at the very end here is be, do, and have. I love those three things. And I have a saying that is be the vision, like the mindset, the vision of who you are and who you want to be, and creating in the now moment, like being that, like an actor becomes the part that they play, the role that they play. Do whatever that role is, and you will have the results. So I have it be the vision, do the mission, and have your dream. That is the formula for success, the formula for creation, actually, as we are powerful creators. Okay, continuing on. The cash flow quadrant is about being, not doing. Moving from the left side of the cash flow quadrant to the right side is not so much about doing, but it's about being. It is not so much that the B or I does what the B or I does that makes the difference. It is how they think and who they are at their core being. The good news is that it does not cost much money to change your thinking. Huh, not much money. In fact, it can be done for free. For free? What? The bad news is that sometimes it's hard to change your deep core beliefs about money that are handed down from generation to generation or learned from friends, work, and school. That's why the five closest friends is important. The with my three kids, I always look at the environment. I want to put them in the right like field for them, put my seed, their mind in the right field to grow, put them in the right mind environment so that the results that what they grow into not only is affected by their environment, their fertilizer, those who they're near and dear to, and who their friends are, and of course myself and my ability to convey that information. That's the environment that they're in. But it can be done. And that's what this book is primarily about. It's not so much a how to book on what to do to become financially free. And it's not about which stocks to buy or which mutual fund is safe that is safest. This book is about strengthening your thoughts, being, so that you can take the action doing that will enable you to become financial free. Having. That's why it's be first, do second, have your results third. E, S, B, and I, the cash flow quadrant, is right in front of us. Security is the issue for E. So now there's emotions tied to each one of these processes. There's a beingness tied to each one of these processes, and the way they think and the actions that they do. There's a be, do, and have in each of these four quadrants. Generally, people who seek out the E quadrant greatly value security. For them, it is often true that money is not as important as security. They may take great risk in other areas of their lives, but not when it comes to money. Perfectionism is the issue for S's. this is a generalization, but what I have observed among people who are currently in the S quadrant but are trying to switch to the right side is the do it yourself mentality. They like to do it themselves because they have a great need to make sure things are done correctly. And in their minds, the only way to ensure that things are done right is to do everything themselves. For many S's, their real issue is their need to be in control. Here it is. Their need to be in control. They hate making mistakes, but what they hate even more is someone else is making mistakes and making them look bad. Who do you know that has that problem that basically doesn't want you to look, you want to make someone else make them look bad because it really makes them mad? This makes them excellent S's, and that is why you hire them to do certain tasks. You want your dentist to be a perfectionist. You want your attorney to be a perfectionist. You want your brain surgeon to be a perfectionist. That is why you pay them for. That is their strength, but it's also their weakness. So yeah, definitely you want the professionals that you pay good money and you go out and get the great professionals because you want the best. When you want someone working on you, you want the best. Emotional intelligence. A big part of being human, it big part of being a human being is being human. And being human means having emotions. Uh-oh, the E word, emotions. We are we all feel fear, sadness, anger, love, hate, disappointment, joy, happiness, and other emotions. What makes us individuals is how we handle those emotions. When it comes to risking money, we all experience fear, even the rich. The difference is how we handle that fear. For many people, that emotion of fear generates the thought, play it safe, don't take risks. For others, especially those on the right side, the fear of losing money makes them think, play it smart, learn to manage risk. The same emotion, different thought, different being, different doing, different having. The fear of losing money. In my opinion, the greatest cause of human financial struggle is the fear of losing money. Because of this fear, people often operate too safely or with too much personal control, or they just give their money to someone they think is an expert and hope and pray that the money will be there when they need it. Hope and pray. If fear keeps you prisoner in one of the financial quadrants, I recommend reading Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goldman. In his book, Goldman explains the age-old puzzle of why people do well in school do not always do well in the real world. His answer is that your emotional IQ is more powerful than your academic IQ. That is why people who take risks, make mistakes, and recover often do better than people who learn not to make mistakes and are afraid of risk. Man, we're taught at school to never make a mistake. And we get penalized and punished for making mistakes. So I wonder where we learned that from. Too many people leave school with passing grades, yet are not emotionally prepared to take risks, especially financial ones. The reason so many teachers are not rich is because they operate in an environment that punishes people who make mistakes. Instead of being financially free, we need to learn how to make mistakes and manage risk. Okay, this is a key secret. This is how you get rich. We need to learn how to make mistakes and manage risk. If people spend their lives terrified of losing money, afraid of doing things differently from what the crowd does, then getting rich is almost impossible, even if it is as simple as buying 4 greenhouses and trading them for one large hotel. Emotional IQ is stronger. After reading Goldman's book, I came to realize that financial IQ is 90% emotional IQ and only 10% technical information about finance or money. Goldman quotes 16th century humanist Erasmus of Rotterdam, who wrote in a satirical vein of the perennial tensions between reason and emotion. In his writing, he uses the ratio of 24 to 1. Give me a second. In comparing the power of the emotional brain to the rational brain. In other words, when emotions are in high gear, they are 24 times stronger than the rational mind. Now, I don't know if the ratio is scientifically valid, but it does have some usefulness to show the power of emotional thinking over rational thinking. The ratio of 24 to 1, emotional brain 24 to 1, rational brain. All of us have experienced events in our lives when our emotions took over our rational thoughts. I am certain most of us have said something or out of anger that we later wish we had not said. Been attracted to someone we knew that was not good for us, but still went out with them, or worse, married them. Have cried or even seen someone cry uncontrollably because loss of a loved one. Done something intentionally to hurt someone we love because we were hurt, had our broken heart and had our broken had our heart broken, excuse me, had our heart broken and not gotten over it for a long time. Sorry, my mind was thinking about something. Have you ever lost your keys and you're around other people and you're like, or something, and you're like, who stole my keys? Who moved them? Who did whatever? And you get all your mind just starts raining. You start getting all ramped up, and then you move a piece of paper and your keys are right in front of you. And the emotions are still in that riled up state. And you finally, go, oh no, never mind. But yet your body's chemicals, your body's emotions, the adrenaline, all the cortisol, everything's flowing and it takes a little while for all that to calm down, even though you know that you are the problem. So the emotions can be very powerful influence on everything we do and think and have. There are times when emotions are more than 24 to 1. This can be seen in addictions such as compulsive eating, smoking, sex, shopping, drugs, etc., etc. Phobias such as fear of snakes, heights, tight spaces, the dark, and strangers. These and other behaviors are often 100% emotional driven. Rational thought is little power over these emotions when something as strong as addictions and phobias are involved. Snakes phobias. When I was in flight school, he was a Marine Corps pilot, and yes, I had a friend with a snake phobia. During a class on how to survive in the wild after being shot down, the teacher brought out a harmless garden snake to show us how to eat it. How to survive in the wild. You got to eat off the land. My friend, a grown man, jumped up, screamed, and ran out of the room. I can see it now. He could not control himself. Not only was his phobia of snakes strong, but the idea of eating a snake was just too much for his emotions to bear. That's what I was thinking about. You ever seen a grown man or a woman, 30, 40, whatever, throw a 2-year-old tantrum before? That is emotional stress, and that is when our rational mind is gone. Money phobia. When it comes to risking money, I've seen people who do the same thing. Instead of finding out about the investment, they also jump up, scream, and run out of the room. Their mind just shuts down, the logical thought mind shuts down, and their emotions take over. And it's how do I survive? How do I flee? How do I get out of here? It's all these emotions start coming up, and all the chemicals start rolling, and you're out of control at that point, and you just seek the escape. Money manages to provoke many deep emotional phobias. I have them. You have them. We all have them. Why? Because it's not it's be, because like it or not, money is an emotional subject. And because it is an emotional subject, most people cannot think logically about money. If you don't think money is emotional, just watch the stock market. In most markets, there is no logic, only emotions of greed and fear. Watch a person climb onto into a new car, smell the leather interior. All the salesperson has to do is to whisper these magic words in their ear. Low down payment, easy monthly payments, and all logic goes out the window. Emotional thoughts sound logical. The problem with core emotional thoughts is that they sound logical. When someone in the E quadrant becomes fearful, their logic thought is play it safe, don't take risks. To someone in the I quadrant, however, that is not logical at all. For people in the S quadrant, when the issue of trusting others to do a good job comes up, their logical thought may go like this: I'll just do it myself. I'm the perfectionist. I'm the magic. I'm the guy or the gal. That is why so many S type businesses often family businesses. There is a greater sense of trust. For them, blood is definitely thicker than water because they've trained them, conditioned them since they were a baby how to be in the business. Different quadrants, different logic, different thoughts, different actions, different halves, same emotions. What determines what we do is how we individually respond to emotions. I don't feel like it. One way to know if you're thinking emotionally instead of rationally is when you use the word feel in a conversation. For example, many people who are run by their emotions say things like, I don't feel like exercising today. Logically, they know that they should exercise. How many of us know what we should do and that we don't do it because we don't feel like it? Many people who struggle financially are not able to control how they feel or let their feelings dictate their thoughts. I hear them say, I don't feel like learning about investing. It's too much trouble. Investing doesn't feel right for me. I don't feel like telling my friends about my business. I hate the feeling of being rejected. Mm. Parent or child, those who those are thoughts generated from emotions, not logic. In pop psychology, it's the battle between the parent and the child. The parent usually speaks in shoulds. The parent says something like, You should be doing your homework. The child speaks about feelings and responds to the parent by saying, But I don't feel like doing it. Finally, the parent in you would say silently, excuse me, you should save more money. But the child would reply, but it really, but I really feel like going on vacation. I'll just put the vacation on my credit card. When are you an adult? When going from the left side of the to the right side, we need to be adults. We all need to grow up financially. Instead of being parent or child, we need to look at money, work, and investing as adults. And what being an adult means is knowing you have to do and doing it, even though you may not feel like doing it. Conversations with you. For people contemplating crossing from one quadrant to another, an important part of the process is to be aware and vigilant of your internal dialogue, the thoughts within. Always remember that what sounds logical in one quadrant does not necessarily make sense in another. Going from financial security to financial freedom is primarily a process of changing your thinking. It's a process of doing your best to know which thoughts are emotion based and which are logical based. If you can keep your emotions in check and go for what you know to be logical, you have a chance of making the journey. Ignore outside influences. The most important conversation is the one that you are having within yourself or with yourself. When Kim and I were temporarily homeless and financially unstable, by the way, on purpose, our emotions were out of control. Many times, what sounded logical was pure emotional talk. Emotions talking, excuse me. Our emotions were saying the same thing our friends were saying: play it safe, get a secure job, and enjoy life. But logically, we both agreed that freedom made more sense to us than security. Security is at the leisure of other every people around you. Security is the result of other people's activity and your interactions with them. But freedom is independent, financial independence, and that's when you are generating it of your in and of yourself. In going for financial freedom, we knew we could find a sense of security that the job could never give us. The only thing standing in our way were our emotionally driven thoughts. They sounded logical, but in the long term, they made no sense. The good news is that once we made it across to the other side of the cash flow quadrant, the old thoughts stopped screaming and the new thoughts became our reality. Today, I understand the emotions when a person says, I can't take risks. I have a family to think about. I must have a secure job, or it takes money to make money. That's why I can't invest, or I'll do it on my own. I feel their thoughts, for I have had those thoughts myself. But looking across the cash flow quadrant, having achieved financial freedom in the B and I quadrants, I can truly say that having financial freedom is a much more peaceful and secure way of thinking. The differences between E and B. Core emotional values cause different points of view. The struggle in communication between business owners and employees is often caused by differences in emotional values. There's always been a struggle between the E and the B's because one wants more pay and the other one wants more work. That is why we often hear, I'm overworked and underpaid. And from the other side, we often hear, what can we do to motivate them to work harder and be more loyal without paying them any more? The difference between B and I. There is also constant tension between the business owners and investors in that business, often called the shareholders. One wants more capital and the other one wants greater dividends. A conversation at a shareholders meeting may sound like this. Company managers, we need a private jet so our executives can get to their meetings faster. Investors who actually pay for everything, we need fewer executives. Then we won't need a private jet. Interesting. People that use the money have many suggestions that people that have to pay for it have to, stop, the buck stops with them. The difference between S and B. In business transactions, I often see a bright S, such as an attorney, put a multi-million dollar deal together for a B, a business owner. When the transaction is completed, the attorney becomes silently angry because the B makes millions and the S earns an hourly wage. Their, their words may sound like this. The attorney, the S, might say, we did all the work and he made the money, all the money. The business owner, the B, might say, how many hours did those guys bill us for? We could have bought the whole law firm for what they charged. The difference between E and I. Another example is a bank manager who gives an investor a loan to buy some real estate. The investor makes hundreds of thousands of tax-free dollars, and the banker gets a paycheck and is taxed heavily. The bank manager, the E, might say, I give that guy a loan, and he doesn't even say thank you. I don't think he knows how hard we work for them. The investor might say, the I might say, boy, those guys are picky. Look at all this useless paperwork we have to do just to get a lousy loan. Emotionally volatile marriage. Most emotionally volatile marriage The most emotionally volatile marriage I have ever witnessed was a couple where the wife was a hardcore E who believed in a job for financial security, while the husband fancied himself to be a high-flying I. He thought he was a future Warren Buffett, but in reality, he was an S, a commissioned-only salesman by profession, and a chronic gambler at heart. He was always looking for the investment that would help him get rich quick. He was all ears for any new stock offering, offshore investment scheme that promised ultra high returns, or a real estate deal that he could take an option on. This couple is still together, but I really don't know why. Each drives the other nuts. One person thrives on risk, the other hates risk. Different quadrants, different core values. If you are married or in a primary relationship, if you are married or in a primary relationship, circle the quadrant you generate the majority of your income from. Then circle the quadrant your spouse or partner generates income from. The reason I ask you to do this is that the discussion between partners is often difficult if one partner doesn't understand where the other is coming from. The battle between the rich and the educated. There's another unspoken battlefield, and that is the difference between the points of view between educated and the rich. In my many years of research in the differences between the different quadrants, I often heard bankers, attorneys, accountants, and others like them grumble that they are the educated ones, and it is often the so-called less educated person who makes the big bucks. Hmm. This is the root of the battle between the educated and the rich. It is not that people in the B and the I quadrants are uneducated because many are highly educated. It's just that many B's and I's were not academic whiz kids in school. For those who read my book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's about the struggle between the educated and the rich. My highly educated poor dad took great pride in the fact that years of advanced studies at prestigious schools like Stanford and the University of Chicago. My rich dad was a man who dropped out of school to run his family business. So here, rich dad, his father died when he was young, and he had to help his mom take care of this like a Circle K or a convenience store and a C store, a small grocery store, and that's where he learned about wealth was having to take over that after his father died. So when he never finished high school. So he never finished high school. I'll read that again. My rich dad was a man who dropped out of school to run his family business when his father died. So he never finished high school, yet he acquired tremendous wealth. He grew up on the streets and he learned from wealthy people that were already doing it. He learned from his financial mentors and his financial masters. As I grew older and seemed to be more influenced by my rich but uneducated dad, my educated dad was occasionally defensive of his station in life. One day when I was about 16, my educated dad blurted out, "I have advanced degrees from prestigious schools. What does Mike's dad, rich dad, have?" I paused, replied, "Money and free time." It looks like I need to take a break right here. We're going to be stopping at page 179. Let's go ahead and have open up the mics for anyone that wants to say something.
Wow, Jameson, amazing read. The money game, huh? I guess the thing that separates everyone else for those that that can seem to understand is not being attached to emotions. We gotta obviously learn to think, and money is energy. So if we learn to flow with the energy of money, it's gonna land in your hands because you're not emotionally attached to what people think, what they say, criticism. When we start to put criticism on the shelves and we start to think, going back to what we talked about, which is be, do, and have, your mindset becomes so rigid against negativism that the only thing that really matters is to do the process, no matter what's between your goal and the things that you're going to have to go through. You know for a fact that your mindset is set for success, and you see that happen nowadays a lot, right? With everything that is going on, and the people that become very emotionally attached to what people think, they become hateful, and they start to do things and go in the wrong direction because of a conversation or anything of that type. So when you detach from emotions, and I know it's hard to say it, you don't you don't rationalize on decisions. You just make the decision, stick to the process, get rid of all the noise in the surrounding areas until you accomplish the things that you want to attract into your life. And that's basically what the money game is. See, money only follows energy. So where energy flows, money eventually comes your way. So anybody that wants to be, I can imagine Robert Kiyosaki learning from Rich Dad and Poor Dad. You know the things that he saw. Two models. One which is someone that was emotionally attached to everything, which is what most of us learn. Get a good job, get a good education, get a good job with great benefits, and retire. Versus the other person that was obviously taking risk at all times, making a bunch of mistakes and managing risk. See, when we learn to do that, and especially when it comes to economical platforms that you can actually play the monopoly game like the platform that we have, it's fun to see that everything is in a back office, in a portal. But 90% of the people that access a portal like that, they go in there once, they don't study it, they look from a distance, they get distracted, they get back to the routine, and all of a sudden, what's in that back office, which are jewels, don't make any sense. They only remember the following month. Oh, I remember I got this platform here. I just received my bank draft. Does that make sense, Jameson? So I love Cashflow Quadrant because we are playing the Cashflow Quadrant with our business. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that. No, it reminds me of learning to drive. So it can be an emotional process when you're first starting to drive. There's a lot of, a lot of fear. You see it done. You sit in the back, you ride. But when you're in control, I mean, you need to like pay attention to the rolls, and you might get distracted by other what's going on around you, or someone cuts you off, and then your emotions kick in. You get angry or whatever, or you get afraid, and then you're afraid to go on the freeway or something like it's all these emotions come up until you can see someone else doing it and you go, wait a minute, they can do it. If they can do it, maybe I can do it. You see a vision of what can be, and then also you want, like when you're 15 years old or whatever, and you want all that freedom. You want the emotion, the freedom, the being physically free, the freedom of movement. Yet even it might be follow the rules, be safe, do all that stuff, and you have to overcome all these emotions to finally be able to drive and be safe and be accurate. Now, here's the other thing. Uh, Once someone cuts you off, do you tie your emotions into being like a road rager and being all about them? Or here's how I do it after driving hundreds of thousands of miles, unfortunately and fortunately, for like rideshare or a business. I learned to laugh at it and say, when's the last time I did that? I pull my emotions out of the situation and I laugh at it instead of get angry about it. So I control my emotional intelligence, like he's talking about,
Mhm.
through framing it in my mind a different way. And by framing it in my different mind, I choose to laugh at it instead of get hooked into it, because then that can ruin the rest of my day instead of controlling my emotions and choosing. And just like with money, just like the back office, just like by anything, people can have access to a lot of financial great things. But just like going to the gym, even though you have a membership, what does it take for me to love the process? And Fernando, you're avid a gym person. You love the gym. I've seen you. You come from the gym, and Eric, our one of our Wednesday presenters, he's always on that 5:30 run, and he enjoys those the working out. But it's like getting it to where you can enjoy the process, enjoy the game of money, make it something that you appreciate and anticipate, because the have is the financial freedom, and tying it into that, and you tie your emotions into what you love and what you want. That's the amazing process. Let
Well,
me open it up
here's
for
what I
someone.
know. We all love the results at Jameson. We love the have. What we refuse doing is the being part, because being requires a lot of doing, right? So because the doing is the process, it's the bridge basically. So once in your mindset you become that, now you start to walk through the bridge by doing. Okay, so you're moving from one point of mentally and emotionally being to now taking the action. So in regards to a workout, I'll simplify it like this. When Martha and I go to the gym, sometimes we choose in our minds that we don't want to go. But then we think about the consequence, and it brings us back to what are we being? What are we deciding for? Yeah, we're a little tired today. We've been working too many hours. And we go back to no, we gotta be what we said we were gonna be. So once we trigger that emotion, which is the electrical decision that triggers the emotion of being, then we're set for success to go to the gym. You know, we don't like the process because it's uncomfortable. You go to the gym to sweat, to do the repetitions, but we love to have good health. Does that make sense? So when you love to have, there's a process between, right, between being, which is doing. Once it's done, you get on the other side. The thing that we say when we work out, how was your workout? Oh, it was amazing. My God, it was hard, when I started it, but the process was difficult. But at the end, we're happy that we got it done. And that's basically what we all want. We want the have, but we got to learn to do the do. But first, it starts with the be, which is the mindset. And thank you, Jameson, for the vision, the mission, and the dream. Appreciate that.
Yes, Fernando. And one of the things I remember hearing from some of our coaches and stuff is that it's the time when you really don't want to do it, and you overcome that feeling, back to the
Right.
child feeling. That is one of the most tremendous wins. It's not when you do it and have a good time. It's the time when you've overcome that feeling and you still did it. That is the tremendous win, believe it or not.
Exactly.
It's not all the time when you succeed. It's all the times when you fail and you get back up. That is when you learn the
Yep.
most. Thank you very
You
much.
got it, my friend. Thank you.
Anyone else out there?
Dr. GW.
Mr. Wilner? Anybody out there?
Great morning, sir.
Great morning.
Hey guys, listen. At the end of the day, I mean, it's mindset, and this book, talks about that. It's strong, and we've just got to condition ourselves to make the commitment to be who we desire to be. There's a price to pay. It's not just going to fall in our laps, no question about it. But that's where people, I think, Jameson falls short. They're not willing to pay the price. But if they are, believe me, there is a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow.
Yes, Dr. Parker. You are the example. Definitely, you definitely show up. You're excited. You're enthusiastic, and you're living your dream, and you're being the vision that people can the light, as it were, that people can like go, I want that. I love their energy. I love his energy. I want to be that, because if I can be like him and do what he does, I'm gonna have an amazing life. And holding that energy, holding that space for us to even observe it, is an amazing gift. Thank you very much, Dr. Parker.
We got a
More
new
than
guest,
welcome,
as a
sir.
matter. Oh, Dr. GW Parker, amazing. Can't wait to hear the news.
Hey, should we? Well, we'll announce
Yes,
it. I guess
let's
today's a good
go. Let's go.
day.
All right. Dr. GW, yeah, yeah. You want to make the announcements after we kind of wrap up here?
Yes, sir. That would be great.
Okay. All right. So let's hear Haiti. As a matter of fact, we want to congratulate Haiti. She has a very inspirational story, but seeing her hand up and being here this morning with us as her first time as our guest now, our part of the reading club leader, she's definitely doing amazing things to be able to grow her business. So, Haiti, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I'm on South Carolina right now, so I wake up earlier from it's 3 hours ahead, and I've been listening to you guys, and I really get very motivated. Like yesterday, I was talking to people in the airport, so I was able to give five of my business cards and get the number. I mean, just by talking, like it's very easy to tag people, and I mean, if you do it the nicer way, they can tag to you back. Like one of them, she have a baby, and you start talking about the baby. Oh, you have a beautiful baby, this and that. Where do you live? And how about, are you renting? Or you have a house? Do you want to buy a car? So it was, I mean, I feel really, really comfortable and be able to feel myself that I can do this. And I mean, I know I'm gonna grow on this, and I'm gonna help my family that it's on my under my team. And I really, really thank you guys for all the support, for all the information, and especially Fernando and Marta. I mean, I cannot stop thank them for their time, you know and really appreciate you guys so much. All the information, it's perfect, magnific. I mean, I'm just full of energy when I hear you guys. Thank you.
Those are the stories, my friends. Those are the stories. She's a two-star executive director in a very short period of time, and she's definitely a risk taker. Heidi's a risk taker. She doubts a little bit when she starts, but once she gets going, nobody can stop her. So congratulations, Heidi. Great to have you. All right. So Mr. Wilner, it looks like he's got his camera open. I don't know if he's going to share something with us today. We can't hear you, Mr. Wilner. We're not able to hear you. Mr. Wilner? Now,
what I say is, I think it's what's inspiring and important is when you have a purpose to follow through, even when you feel at the moment that that's not what you want. And I think to train oneself to stay on purpose so that you achieve what you want to achieve is the way to become rich or to become wealthy. While education is perhaps interesting, it is not necessarily useful.
excellent.
Comment.
Wow. Purpose. James, so what do you say about that? Mr. Wilder, thank you so much for your words of wisdom. Purpose.
Purpose is definitely it's the why. It's the what is it called? The magnificent obsession. It's the burning desire. All those things all culminate into what drives a person, and that affects your emotions, it affects your thoughts, it affects your feelings, it affects everything. And it's the critical driver. It's the secret sauce, right, Mr. Willinger?